It is July 11th, Friday. It's an overcast, sunny day here in, it's off and on sunny, but it is overcast. We've had, and it's been like that for the last couple days. It will remain like that for quite a few more months here in the rainy season. How are you doing, everybody, today? We are at the end of, well, one more day and we're at the end of week 24. 24 weeks remaining in the year for me until I early retire. And in fact, it's actually going to be around 20 weeks because December is basically going to be my off, taking my leave. So I'll get paid to the end of December, but 90, all except for a few days will be off and on leave in December. So far, that's the plan. I'm pretty 95% sure that will stay like that. I think the only thing that might change is if they might bump me earlier, and I'd be happy for that. I'll leave in November. I'll leave, which would basically have me finish in October. I don't know why they would do that, but there's a lot to do, and it's getting more and more tight at work. I just got wind yesterday that we lost another donor. Not huge impact, but it will have impact. It will have impact on some of the work that we do, and we're looking probably to do one or two more, at least more staffing cuts. I don't know how we're gonna get around that, but I just found out. I'm kind of surprised that we lost it because we had a solid proposal, but I've just found out that it is likely due to high level of incompetence that the donor has realized, and the reason is high level of incompetence. And the person that told me about this sent me some proof, something that she thinks was the cause or attributed to us losing this continuation. It was a continuation. It wasn't a new proposal, but she sent this to me, and I'm like, wow, this is what was submitted. I mean, it is incompetence, and I just see it happening. I always wonder if it's a blessing of God coming off of a group of people who are not managing properly, and we have leadership who is not listening, and all the way up to the board level. So anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. It's Friday. Yesterday was a holiday in Laos and Thailand. I was supposed to be off, but I had to work probably most of the day. I had to revise some budgets, and it's okay. It's actually stuff I like to do, and I can do it relatively fast as long as I'm not interrupted. It's the interruptions at work that are difficult to get things done fast, and especially when they're things that are unimportant. That's what's the frustrating part. But this would have probably taken me all day at work in the office because of interruptions, whereas I did it within a few hours. And then I figured I would take today off and just check on mail just to see if anything happened, or if I needed to update something. And I did need to do some things, and I'm actually doing some analysis that I really love to do. I love the analysis. I love projections. I love the finance part of the work. I don't like the accounting. I love the reporting and the analysis and the projection. That's really where I excel. Really, I enjoy it. I'll do that on my day off, just because I love it and we need it. And in some senses, I'm wondering why I'm even doing it, because this is just not looking very good. So so it's Friday, the end of week. We're nearing the end of week 24. This is just one of those. The last 2 weeks have just been confirmation how badly I want to get out of here. The couple weeks before that, I was really thinking, wow, this is really going well. I'm enjoying this, and this past week, nope, it is the incompetence at the highest levels that I just can't take anymore. No follow through with commitments from board members to get important things done, and just I'm tired of it. And during one of the meetings, one of the directors suggested that maybe me doing some consulting for them or some specific tasks after I'm gone. And I didn't comment because I'm like, we'll see. The way I feel now today, no way. I've never felt more unappreciated in a job. Only one other time than I have felt here. Very unappreciated, and I want to let this go. You know, I have no obligation to the organization anymore after December. I do my job. I'll work really hard. I'll give them everything I got until then, and then I'm done. And then if I do it, they're gonna have to pay me well, and it's gonna be very specific. I've already been working out the wording of how I'm going to say this is how I will help, and this is my limitations. So yeah, I just don't see things going very well there. I think next year is going to be worse, and I won't be there. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how excited I am thinking about not being there and finishing with this. My stock portfolio is at all-time highs this week. You know, again, I'm not counting on it staying there. I think there's going to be a pullback, if not relatively significant pullback at some point. You know, I know you're not supposed to stare at your stock portfolio every day. I don't stare at it, but I do check it out. You know, because I follow economic news. I follow global news. I follow the Trump tariffs and the reports from the Federal Reserve and how they're going to impact. Oh, the noise here is ridiculous. Some of these motorbikes and cars should be illegal to have engines that loud. It is such a rape of your senses. I mean, for something to be that loud so far away. I mean, there's the road. It's way down there. I hear that. Just awful. That's one of the reasons I can't wait to get out of the city. This noise. I mean, and when you probably have heard when I walk around, it's when I try to do a video of going outside, it's just horrendous. It is it's such a rape of my, your peace. I don't know how people take it and they have to work in the street, stay in the street all day. But back to what I was saying. Stock portfolio is at all-time highs. I don't expect it to stay there. I think it's going to be bumpy. They are projecting it to be higher later in the year, and evidence seems to be there to prove that, which is good. It would be good for me. My probability, I checked my Bolden software, and I even played around with some of the expense numbers to increase expenses in line with the probability of success. Probability of success is going higher, so I'm pushing the limits just to see how far I can take my portfolio to a point where I would need to be careful with spending. But so far it's looking good, and there's some peace to that. But I know God gives and He takes away, and I need to just be ready to move on, because I think that's what God's doing with my wife and I. I mean, I've not felt this strongly in such a long time. But all-time portfolio highs there. What else happened this week? So I grew up a bit of a metalhead. I didn't start out as a metalhead. I guess that's probably true for everybody. I had a friend, and the heaviest I went at one point when I was younger, and I would say my younger teens, I got drift of Def Leppard, and Def Leppard was the one cassette tape that I bought at the time, because I didn't really we didn't really listen to music at home, and the only thing we listened to when I grew up was polka. My dad had polka on Sundays, and we hated it. If there's one music I hate, it's polka and country, and that's what he listened to, of course. But anyway, I didn't get into metal until one of my closest friends, who I rode bike with, introduced me. I think it had to be I had to be about 16, 17 when I got introduced to Metallica. At the time, the album of the day was Ride the Lightning. And then it just, I limited who I listened to because I still was, I was a Christian and I was hesitant I knew how much my mom hated that kind of music. And then when she knew I had to be careful about bringing it home because I knew it would disturb her. And I didn't want to disturb her until I got more rebellious, and then I didn't care. At some point, I was so angry with my dad and everything. And I just I started getting more and more metal. Like the typical metal, not hard rock, but metal. And went to all the concerts through college and everything, and I was really into it for a long time. And then I haven't listened to music intentionally probably more than 6 years now. I don't listen to YouTube music. I don't listen to Spotify. Nothing. I don't turn it on at all. The only time I hear music is when it's coming from another source, an outside source, or if I'm watching a YouTube video, and it's playing some type of music. One of the reasons is I just am not interested. I feel like I'm not interested in music anymore. And if I do listen to it, I want to listen to Christian music. Because I do think the music influences you, and I'm consuming a lot of Christian content the past year since my mother passed, and a lot more Christian content, and it should have been for a lot longer than that. I do daily Bible reading. So anyway, I still have a draw toward metal, if anything, but I don't listen to it. One of the problems I have with music is I'll get this perpetual loop on in my head, like from some chorus of a song or something, some rhythm of a song, and it drives me mad, and I don't know how to get it out of my head. It's really maddening because it's so intense. I'll go to sleep with it in my head, and then I'll wake up with it in my head. I try to parry it out. I don't know what to do to get rid of it, but I have to be very intentionally trying to ignore it. But it gets on this loop, this never-ending loop, and it stays, and it's intense. And that's why I don't listen to, that's one reason why I don't listen to music. I don't know, it's like I'm cursed with this. And I can't believe I used to listen to music like 24/7, all the time. Now I almost can't stand it. I can't say I can't stand it, but I don't really get any enjoyment from it. But I have seen, I'm bringing this up because just recently, this past week, one of the big news was, Black Sabbath had their ending concert. It's called The Beginning. And I did not get into Black Sabbath. I had a few friends who were into Black Sabbath. I did not get into them until my mid-30s, when someone introduced me to, I don't remember the name of the album, but it was with Ronnie James Dio in the late 2000s, and I was at his house and he started playing it. I'm like, I have not really listened to Black Sabbath. I knew the normal songs, the Paranoid and some of the more popular War Pigs, but I didn't really get into that. I would never have bought it, but he was playing this album, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love Ronnie James Dio, and I love the sound, and I just started to love listening to Black Sabbath. I was in my mid-30s, and just imagine, I was a metalhead all those years. That's all I listened to. I just didn't listen to Black Sabbath. It just wasn't in my taste buds until my mid-30s, and then I started getting more into Black Sabbath. Well, I enjoyed listening to them. I wouldn't say I was into them, but I just saw that Ozzy's been deteriorating health-wise the past year with Parkinson's disease. My dad had Parkinson's disease, and I've been seeing clips of this last concert, and I was like listening to him, and I'm like, he's strapped in a chair, this big black chair, a big throne with a demon that's shaped like a demon. Black demon, pure black. He's got his black eyeliner on, and wiping the hair out of his face like he does. He looks really good. I'm sure it's a lot of makeup, Zakk Wylde is up there playing guitar for some of his solo album stuff, but the original Black Sabbath band was up there. It was really incredible to see. But here's some of the points I noted. So I'm like listening to the songs, and I'm like, wow, he sounds amazing. Ozzy sounds like he did 15, 20 years ago. You can hear a little weakening. But then I just recently saw a video of how it really sounded, and it like the live concert version. So they definitely did something to his voice for the version that goes out. Like he sounded like he was in a studio, but it was awful. Let me not say awful. It was bad. But what makes it so good was he was such an iconic person in rock and roll. And I preferred Ronnie James Dio. He's the one that came up with the sign of the beast. I try not to do that sign anymore. I used to do it. I don't do that sign anymore. I don't do the sign of the beast. It was rock and roll. No, I won't even do it here. Something with your fingers, and I don't do it. I don't do it. I think there's something very satanic about it. And I mean, it's called the devil sign, the devil horns. I don't do it. I stopped doing that, even listening to rock and roll, even for fun. But so I heard the two versions, and I'm like, whoa, that makes sense. They really amplified his voice for the live recordings. That couldn't have been his real voice. He couldn't have sounded that good sitting down. And at, what is he, 80s? 70s or 80s? And, he could barely sit still. There's no way he could sound that strong. And then I heard the comparison of the two, the actual versus the amplified. But, people didn't care. I mean, he was iconic, and they loved him. And I mean, he paved the way for rock and roll, for whatever that's worth. But the other thing I just noticed, so he's sitting, it's a lot of satanic music. There are some political songs, War Pigs, and that I really love. I love War. It's one of my favorites. But most of the songs are very satanic, and he's sitting on this big black throne with a demon, shaped of a demon, and he's calling out to the crowd, "I love you, God bless." That was some of the last things he's saying. He's like, "God bless you, God bless you." And I'm like, how does that work? How can he be sitting there? Yeah, but what God is he talking about? Anyway, I just thought that was a bit ironic. This is, I'm making up for this week. I feel like I haven't done any videos this week. I did one or two, but I've just been busy, and not really motivated to talk. But this is just some of the things that have come up this past week. So they don't expect Ozzy to live to the end of the year. I mean, he's deteriorating really bad. He can't even stand up. But and then you look at Sharon. Oh my gosh, she looks like a demon with all the plastic surgery she's done. I can't believe people think that they look okay. Are they so disillusioned by themselves, by vanity? She looks awful. It looked like a deformed demon. Anyway, that was Black Sabbath. What else has happened? Oh, so the Trump tariffs, they didn't have the impact on the market as they expected. It looks like there's some, and I think I saw some threats. The 10th or the 12th was supposed to be a deadline for China and for Canada. And it looks like Trump is threatening Canada with some tariffs, 50% tariffs or something. So I don't expect this stuff to be over. There's going to be volatility in the market. So that, going back to what I was saying about the market, I just like to watch the news. I like to see how the impact is on the news, the news impact on the markets. Because if I see there's a major change in my portfolio or a particular stock, I'll just go see what's happening with it. What's impacting it. It's kind of like a learning curve just to understand more how certain pieces of news, interest rates going up, interest rates going down, tariffs, all this, just seeing how it impacts which stocks in my portfolio. That's what I find fascinating. I'm not there to trade. I'm a long-term holder. I will take profits if I think things are getting too frothy. Some stocks, if I have some stocks that are overvalued, and I know this because of the group I'm listening to, or just watching some of the analysis, and yeah, so I'll take profits and then just hoard a little bit of cash for when there's another buying opportunity, because I think there'll be at least one or two more coming up, even with the interest rates expectations that they will come down. So I think that was economic news. So today I read 2 Chronicles 17 and 18, and it's hard to get through some of those because it's a repeat of First and Second Kings, because it's a repeat, and some of it's a little more thorough background story behind some of the kings, but this was a repeat of Josaphat. He was the son of Asa, I think, King Asa. He was the son of Asa. Yeah, so he was king of Judah, and he went to see King Ahab. Ahab's back. Ahab, arguably the most wicked king Israel has ever seen. So he went to talk to Ahab and asked him if he could borrow some of his seers, some of his prophets, because he wanted to confirm that God was going to give him victory over the king of Syria. So forgive me if I'm botching this. I'm an amateur. It's my first time really thoroughly reading through the Old Testament, and I might get some things mixed up, but I'm just talking about my takeaways. So Josaphat, everybody should name one of their children Josaphat, get over here. What would his nickname be? Fat? Hey, Fatty? Or Josephat? I don't know. So he says, I want to borrow some of your prophets because I want to make sure God's going to give me victory here. And Ahab gives him some of his special prophets. And then Jehoshaphat's thinking, hey, what are he thinks these prophets are nodding donkeys. They'll just say yes, give praise to Ahab all the time. So he says, do you have any other prophets who you don't like? And Ahab says, yeah, there's this guy, Micaiah. I hate him. Literally, he says, Ahab hates Micaiah. And he's like, why? Because he always says bad things about me. He always says bad things to me. He doesn't give me any good news. And that's because you're a-hole. Ahab is an a-hole. He should be called a-hole Ahab. I'm a wicked king. So Micaiah never had any good things to say about him. I grew up calling him Micah, but I think it's Micaiah. So his book should be Micaiah, not Micah. Or Micaiah. So Micaiah comes and he does what he does, and he confronts Ahab and says, you're going to die and you're not going to win. And Ahab gets pissed off and chases him away. And so Ahab thinks he's going to outsmart the prophecy. And he disguises himself. So they go into war with Ahab, or with Jehoshaphat and Ahab. They go to war. Ahab disguises himself as a normal person. This was the days when kings really had balls. Kings went to war. When you look at back in the day, the kings led battle. They went into battle. Nowadays, you've got these schmucks. They send people. This is why I love that song, War Pigs. They send people to die. The poor, War Pigs, they talk about the poor and everybody being sent to die for a bunch of power-hungry people that don't care. And that's what governments do. these presidents and dictators send you poor schmucks who don't have any options to go and die for someone that hates them anyway. So Ahab disguises himself. They go into battle, and they disguise someone else as, one of his men as the king. And then when he's surrounded in battle, the enemy realizes that it's not Ahab, and so they let him go. And then it says the king of Syria, one of the men, a random man shot a random arrow into the crowd of Israel, the warriors of Israel, and the arrow randomly went right through the joint of King Ahab's armor. Remember, King Ahab is disguised. So it found the joint in the armor, the weak spot. This random soldier shot a random arrow, and it happened to pierce through the joint, the weak spot in Ahab's armor. I wish there was more drama to it. I mean, but it's pretty much to the point. And so Micaiah prophesied that Ahab would die. Ahab thought he was going to be smarter than Micaiah and God, and so he hid himself. And there's no coincidences. I think my sister one time said God-incidences. She called it God-incidences. 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 So, So you can't outsmart God. He's going to find it. His will be done on earth that it is in heaven. So Ahab was prophesied to die, and he thought he would be smart and get out of it, and he died. So I think that's the lesson. You can't outrun God, so it's better to be in His will. Why he tried to get away from God, I don't understand that. And they always keep referring back to King David as the model, even though King David did some wicked stuff himself, killing another man to get a woman, and then killing thousands of people, and jealousy and fear. And anyway, so that was my lesson today. Can't outsmart God. Make sure you're in His will, and then if you're in His will, you're whatever happens, that's what was supposed to happen, and you will be in the right place with God. 3 more things before I wrap up here. This is getting long. I was supposed to have a Lao lesson today. I scheduled it 2 days ago, and she obviously has it on automatic acceptance. And then I'm sitting there for 5 minutes at the time, and I was just about to click off. I was kind of irritated because I do plan this through the day. I plan my work around it. And then she came on. She said, "I sent you a message to cancel or to postpone." And I said, I don't see any message. So anyway, I said fine, and I'm very flexible. I said I don't really want to do it on a Saturday or Sunday because that's my full free day. So we postponed that to tomorrow. The other thing is, I've been obsessed with looking at G-Shock watches. I have a G-Shock watch. It's a GDX 100. I bought this about 1.5 years, 2 years ago when my Apple Watch died and I had to send it in repair. I thought it would be months before my repair came back, but it was within a week. It was really amazing. Here in Bangkok, can't believe it. My Apple, really fantastic service, but I really don't like being without my watch. So I went and bought another watch. It wasn't cheap. It's a GDX G-Shock GDX 100 Glide 100, and I love the face. You could see it at any angle in the sun, even with with glasses on. It's not user friendly to the extent I like workout. I like some workout features on the Apple Watch. I'm not getting another Apple Watch. I'm done with it. I'm bored with it. I was obsessed with looking at Garmin's. I was really obsessed. But then, I've been I'm like, I really like my G-Shock, but I'm looking at these G-Shocks, and I've been obsessed with looking at them and figuring out which one would I like. The problem I have, I love this build, and I love that it's very independent. You know, it lasts, battery life lasts forever. You don't need to charge it. It's the one downside to the Garmin. I'm just not sure. I just feel like I want to break away from that dependency on have to plug in. I really am bored with that, you know, unless you get a solar powered. But I want to get a watch that's going to last me for a long time. I don't want to replace this stupid thing every 3 to 4 years. My battery life is only lasting me half a day now, you know, and that's ridiculous. That's a $400 watch and lasting like 4 years, you know. It's like buying a new watch for $100 every year. I'd rather buy something that's going to last me for 10 years. I have no interest in replacing my watch. But I do like the heartbeat feature. I like the countdown feature. But I want a big display. The problem with the G-Shocks is they don't have many versions. They have thousands of versions. I mean, it's crazy how many models they have. But I like the big digits. I want to see the time. You know, here most of the G-Shocks, they've got these little tiny digits that are, you know, all this crap on the face, like explanation of what is what. I want a simple G-Watch, and this G-Watch that I have is probably the most simple I've seen, but it's a little too elementary. I want a few features that I use all the time. I use a countdown timer all the time. I find uses for that. I would like to track my heartbeat. I'd like to be able to check my heart rate regularly, especially when I work out. I'm just curious to follow it, and I'd like decent alarms, and I would like to track my workouts. And there's one more thing that I like to track: my steps. I do like to do that. I mean, it's silly, you know, but I just am interested in that stuff, especially the heart rate and the steps and the workout and the timers. And I want a big face. And the only watch that I'm seeing out there that has all of this but the heart rate is the Mudman. It's about $400 watch, but it doesn't have heartbeat. I don't know. It's a lot of money to spend on something that's not. And then I'm watching tons of reviews on it, and there's some weaknesses to it. Of course, you never need to plug it in. I think the battery lasts like 10 years, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. I want something. I don't need electricity. I hate having to charge my watch. I'm just bored with the Apple. The Garmin looks very attractive, but yeah, and the battery lasts longer, but you still have to charge it every week or so. I don't know, small things, small problems, high quality problems to have. And I think that's about it. I'll come back on if I think of something else major to happen this week. But yeah, then next week I'm in Chiang Mai for a workshop. We're doing strategic meetings, and I'm going to be talking to the finance managers to plan out the transition. It really shouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm just handing over. I made it very clear to our task force. I'm handing over. That's it. I don't do any training. I don't do any capacity building. I'm going to explain how things work. I'm going to explain what I do, and then they got to figure it out. I'm not responsible for that afterwards. And because I'm just so tired. Really, I'm anxious to leave. I would leave next month if they would let me. But I know they couldn't do that quite yet. Financially, they might have to. But I keep throwing it out there. Hey, I'm ready to leave. Just give me my letter and my severance, and I'm going. See ya. Anyway, let me see. Yeah, I keep doing that anyway. I need to cut those out. That's annoying. So yeah, a lot is happening this week. A lot of thoughts. We're at the end of week 24, and 20. I'll probably do one more video maybe tomorrow if something comes to mind. If not, I just don't want to. I think I like doing this ramble of things that have crossed my mind and things of importance. I'm going to look back on this one day, and I think I'm going to be happy I did this. even if I only have one viewer, me. I look to have one view. The only view that watches my videos is me. Maybe it'll pick up, maybe it won't. I don't know. I watch some of these other people are retired. So I'm in transition to retirement. I'm not retired yet, so these are things that are coming up. Things to plan for, things to work out. You know, sharing my frustrations with work and everything. And so people were talking about retirement. I'm not retired yet, but I'm getting there. I'm in transition. And these are just some of the frustrations that I have. I still need to work out my insurance. I plan to follow up on that. I'm already looking into relocation companies that can probably take my stuff overland. I mean, I think I just need a small truck. I don't have much. So I need to check into insurance, confirm one plan or another. I think I have a good idea of that. My wife and I need to follow up on some plans for the wedding. I already booked the hotel for Hua Hin in for our honeymoon for 2 days, two apartments for 4 days. I got a really nice room for 2 rooms that open up, that walk right out into the pool. I think Da's mom and sister and whoever else comes will love that. I mean, it would just be luxury. I think it will be fun. I'm excited to do that for them. I'll be able to pay for that with my severance. Oh, that was the other thing. This month, I can't wait. Tomorrow's the 12th, when the credit card cycle is over. I am over 60,000 baht this month. It is 30,000, 20,000 more than my limit. But we had to pay for. Some of it is reimbursed by the organization. Several thousand will be reimbursed by organization. My wife bought some stuff I'm kind of ticked off about. It was some clothing she doesn't need. And I said, we've got to save for this wedding. You know, this stuff needs paid for in advance. You know, you don't just pay it at the wedding. You pay for it in advance, and I got to have the money for it. So I think we talked about it, and I think she's gonna be careful. I think she feels bad about that. I didn't make her feel bad. I just said, look, we know you have A and B. We have a budget. You can't do both. You do A or B. It's one or the other. We have a wedding. This is our priority. I'm trying to make it like a good experience for your family when they come. I'm trying to let you have the wedding you want. We have to pay for flowers. We got to pay for dress. We got to pay for food. All this stuff needs paid for up front. You don't wait to pay the day, you know, so the money, I got to have the money. So anyway, I think she understood that, and I hope so. Anyway, she bought some stuff, a lot of stuff at the pharmacy. I think I had to pay for stuff to travel, but I'll get that reimbursed. And I did spend a little bit more on specialty foods this month at Paleo Robbie because the steaks were on sale. I won't spend that again. And then we, after next week, the following week, I have a board meeting, and then I go back to Laos to work from Laos in 2 weeks, work from my home. I'm looking forward to that. Really want to go back. I'm going to look around to see what kind of things I might want to do, take back from Bangkok when we leave here. All right, everybody, I'll let you go there. This is Troy writing down Chronicles of an expat going in early retirement on a modest budget. I don't have millions, and I don't even have $1 million. I am, so I will be on a modest budget, and with my wife and some dependents there. So follow me if you're interested. Let me know in the comments below if any of this interests you. Love to hear from you. And until then, God bless and take it slow.